बिहार गोपी जन वल्लभ जय गिरिवरधारी जय गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनंदन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जनरंजन यमुना तीरावनचारि यमुना तीरावनचारि राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसदि गौरभक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव राधे जय जगन्नाथ जय बलदेव सुभद्रा माँ जय सुदर्शन जय गोपाल देव जय गोपाल देव गौरनिताय श्री गौरनिताय जय हो गौरनिताय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपदा श्रीपदा जय गुरुदेवा श्रीपदा जय श्रीपदा ताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि जय गुरु महाराज श्रील श्रीपाद की जय जय जगत गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. So today we are reading from the 6th canto, 17th chapter, Mother Parvati curses Chitraketu, text number 19. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत्. नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैशिकी. So this is text number 19. नैवात्मन परश्चापि कर्ता स्यात् सुख दुःखयोः कर्तारं मन्यते अत्राज्ञा कर्तारं मन्यते त्राज्ञा आत्मानं परमेव च आत्मानं परमेव च नैवात्मान परश्चापि कर्ता स्यात् सुखदुःखयोः कर्तारं मन्यते त्राज्ञ आत्मानं परमेव च. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. In this material world, neither the living entity himself nor others, the friends or enemies, are the cause of material happiness and distress. But because of gross ignorance, the living entity thinks that he and others are the cause. In this verse, the word agya is very significant. In the material world, all living entities are agya, ignorant in different degrees. This ignorance continues very strongly in the mode of ignorance presented by material nature. One must therefore promote himself to the stage of goodness through his character and behavior, and then gradually come to the transcendental platform or the adokshaja platform, in which he realizes both his position and the position of others. Everything is done under the superintendence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The process by which the results of action are ordained is called niyatam, always working. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swaminiti Namine Nama Sadbhaktamanaye Manipurudbhavaya Cha Prabhupada Lasatvani Prachara Niratayate Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pashyata Deshatarine Vancha Kalpatarurvyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namam. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Sankirtanam Yasya Sarva Papa Pranashanam Pranamo Dukkha Shamanah Tam Namami Harim Param. Sansara Sagare Magnam Deenam Mam Karunanide Karmagrahya Grihitangam Mam Uddhara Bhavarnavat Srimad Bhagavatam Akyoyam Pratyaksha Krishna Evahi Svikritosi Mayanata Mukhyartam Bhavasagare. So this chapter, particular verse, Chitraketu, this, you see how he is being cursed by Mother Parvati, the mother of the whole universe, and then because of this, he is receiving the body of an asura, and the cause is that, he was speaking very jokingly with Lord Shiva. Right? The thing is, Chitraketu, he personally talked with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Ananta, Seshade, Sankarsha. And, he was enlightened in the science. He had undergone a very traumatic experience after many, many years and having so many wonderful wives. ultimately he got a son. The son passed away. And so after going through all that, by the blessings of his spiritual master, Narad Muni and Angira Muni, by developing this transcendental knowledge, he was able to actually directly talk with the Supreme Personality, Lord Sankarshan. So after personally talking, because of this, you see the Lord, naturally you become very fortunate. He was promoted and he was enjoying in his airplane with the women of this Vidyadhara planet. So they were all congregational chanting they were doing. And then, they were flying in the plane here and there. So many different places within the outer space. And then one day, somehow they come to this, this particular very wonderful place in Sumeru mountain. And there he's seeing that Lord Shiva is embracing Parvati, and he's surrounded by this assembly of Siddhas, Sharanas, and, great sages and rishis. So seeing Lord Shiva in that kind of situation, Chitraketu is laughing very loudly. And then, he's just making this remark, only Lord Shiva, he can do something like this. Talking to all these wonderful personalities, these sages and rishis, and, while embracing his wife. So his intention was not bad. His intention was simply to, say, only Lord Shiva can do something like this. Only Lord Shiva can exhibit this kind of behavior. And, if he could refrain from doing something like this so that this common people don't follow, that will be nice. This was his intention. Otherwise, they will become offenders. But Mother Parvati, immediately she became very angry. Everybody knows the status of my husband, and you dare to do this kind of criticism. Intention was good, right? But that criticism, Mother Parvati, being the wife, she took it as an insult, and then she immediately cursed. So because of the curse, he is to appear as a demon. But as soon as he received the curse, Chitraketu, you see, because he was a fully Krishna conscious devotee, he was not at all afraid. And then he is speaking these verses. This is the first among those verses. He's saying, Naiva Atma, Naeva Atma, Na Paraschapi. Something like Prahlad Maharaj is saying, either by your own individual effort or by the efforts of others, one cannot become Krishna conscious unless one takes shelter and takes the dust of a pure devotee. So he is saying the same way, either because of you, the living entity, or because of others, you don't think that you are receiving all this happiness and distress, sukha dukkha, this duality. But because of ignorance, because of this one reason, gross ignorance, the living entity, he thinks that, either I am causing my own problem or the others are causing my problem. So somebody becomes a friend, somebody becomes an enemy, and then, there is this constant, how do you say, distress and then happiness, duality, this kind of situation. And the main significant word Prabhupada is saying is agya, ignorance. That's why when we start our classes, we always start Agyana Timirandasya. This Agyan, Timir means it's like a Anda, which is like very dark, this because of mode of ignorance, it is like almost you are in dark. When you are in darkness, pitch darkness, you cannot see yourself. You cannot see yourself, neither can you see what you are being surrounded with. Both of these things are not possible. So you will not be aware, what is happening to you, what is around you. You will not even be able to see, what to speak about, understand the situation where you are and what you're. So this kind of ignorance, this which is compared to darkness, we say Agyana Timirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya. The Gurudev, the spiritual master, he removes his ignorance with the, what is that? Jnana Anjana. Anjana means this, what do you call that? Kajal. People, they put this collyrium in the eye. There is a medical term, collyrium, for the eyes. You have nose drops, you have like eye drops, but this is called collyrium. You put this in your eyes, jnana, anjana, salakaya, and then the guru does this operation by which you are able to open your eyes. And even, in this kind of situation, you are able to see things. Chakshur unmilitam yena tasmai sri guruvena. So to remove the ignorance, a guru is very, very essential. Otherwise, it is not possible. By our own efforts or by others' efforts, it is not going to work. And we will be simply remaining in ignorance and thinking that, this happiness or this distress, this duality I'm undergoing within this material world, it may be because of my actions or it may be because of others' actions. So this thing, it is mentioned in the Chaitanya Charitamrita in the, I think, Adi Leela. Yeah, Adi Leela, the first chapter itself, verse number 102, it is quoting from the Mahabharata, the Udyog Parva, chapter 43, that there are 5 kinds of ignorance. 5. So the first one, the first kind of ignorance is to believe that the body is the self. 99.99% of the living entities within the universe, including the human species, we all think that we are the body. Gross ignorance, actually. It's one of the forms of gross ignorance. That's why in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is starting with this: Baba, you're not the body. Arjuna, Kaunteya, you're not the body, you are spirit soul. And Natveham jatunasam natvam neme janadiba na chaiva na bhavishyama sarve vayamatah param. All these kings, you, myself, we are all eternal. Sarve, all the living entities, we are all eternal. Najayate na mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita vanubhuya aja nityam shashvatoyam purano na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Aja, we are unborn. Najayate, we don't take birth. Na mriyate, we don't die. We are always there, existing. Eternally we are there. So this change of body, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Although the body may disappear or be destroyed, still we will always remain. So this is the basic kind of ignorance. This is a very first starting one. Now the second one is that to take material satisfaction of the senses to be the model of happiness. It's pretty obvious. We call this Shreyas and Prayas. There is some ultimate benefit and Prayas. Prayas means some immediate benefit. So those who are on the bodily platform, they immediately want to satisfy the senses, and they think as soon as the senses are satisfied and they get some kind of, pleasure from that, they think this is the standard of enjoyment that is, this is supposed to be my standard of enjoyment. And thus, somehow or the other, even when the body is becoming old, when the senses are becoming very, very, the senses are declining in the power, the eyes cannot see, the ears cannot hear. Even in such a situation, they still cling on to that idea, this notion that, my senses, whatever happiness I can get, that is my standard of happiness. They don't go beyond that. They don't go beyond this model of happiness that they have, that the bodily senses can experience. They cannot transcend that. They cannot go beyond. And this is again because of ignorance. And the example is that the practical proof, there are so many rich countries like Denmark, Sweden, and these countries, they have the highest suicide rates. Those people, they lack nothing, actually. They have every facility, all the pleasures for the senses, but still they go and they kill themselves. So one doesn't kill himself if he's happy, right? So they think because that standard, this material enjoyment using the senses, they take that to be the standard. When this standard, they understand that it becomes, this is not the proper standard, they become so frustrated. And because they don't have any knowledge of the higher standard or the spiritual standard of enjoyment, so they think it's better to die. And they don't realize that because I'm dying, I'm going to implicate myself in further sinful reactions. Because the soul doesn't die. The person is always there. You may try to finish one body, but then you will get another body. You cannot avoid that. So then the third type of ignorance is anxiety, being in anxiety due to identification with the subject. People, they either, they're thinking about themselves, which usually happens most of the time. And then there are these rare souls, Mahatmas, who are always thinking about others. But either way, there is anxiety. You cannot avoid that. Even a small bird, you see, if there is some grains on the street, he cannot even eat peacefully. He cannot just peck at those grains and eat it peacefully. He's constantly looking around. Is there a dog or cat, something lurking by? Is there a vehicle coming? Is there something happening? Even tiny birds and animals, insects, they are like this. What to speak about us who are supposed to be intelligent? All this happens because of ignorance, and we identify with the subject, whatever subject we are thinking about, either us or the others. And then the fourth one is to lament. To lament. This is another type of ignorance, because there is nothing lamentable actually. If one is fully God conscious, one is self-realized, everything is a play of Krishna's energies. And as soon as one becomes transcendently situated, there is nothing to lament about. One is always joyful. You can see that. I was very recently talking to this one person, one Vishwanath Goswami. He's a nice educated Bengali gentleman. He usually comes to the Boy Mela, the book fair, which happens in Calcutta every year, and he sits and he talks a lot. Sometimes he buys a book and he goes. So this person actually, very educated person, but he left everything, and then he took up this legal cause. He goes and he makes these petitions for people, and he fights. He fights with big this what do you call that? Big companies, big business magnates, and like that. And he's trying to help these poor people, for a noble cause. So he writes all these petitions, and he goes to all the legal thing. He manages all this. If they give him something, he takes it. Otherwise, he doesn't. So he was mentioning about these politicians, right? People who are in government jobs, especially. He was mentioning something about that. He was saying, these guys, they are receiving their salary. The government is paying them. So they claim that they are false positive, COVID positive, and then they take 21 days off with full pay, quarantine. And then later they say that one of the family members, they have at least 4 or 5 family members. So one of the family members is affected by COVID and again quarantine. So again another 21 days. Like this, these people, they spend entire months, not going to the job. And he was lamenting, I'm trying to help these poor people, and then these government people are not coming and they're doing the job properly on time. So this kind of lamentation, again, is because of ignorance. Material world, everything is unreliable. You cannot rely actually on so many things here in the material world, because everything is changing. Krishna is saying, Kalena Mahata Yogo Nashta Parantapa. Even the science of Krishna consciousness, the spiritual science, which Krishna is saying over a period of time, Yogo Nashta Parantapa. Even that, it declines. Powerful influence of time. Yudhishthira Maharaj also, he was lamenting the same way. He was thinking this whole Mahabharat war happened because of me. I'm the person, I just wanted to be a king of the world. And because of this, so many of my friends, my relatives, my gurus, my brothers, my cousins, my grandchildren, my children, all of them are dead. He was feeling so much lamentation. Even Lord Krishna couldn't pacify him with his words. So then he was taken to Bhishma Pitama, and Bhishma Pitama, he is giving this very wonderful thing. He's saying, Yudhishthir, all this thing, he's saying, Sarvam Kala Kritam Manye Bhavatam Cha Yat Apriyam Safalo Yad Vashe Loko Vayoriva Gnavali. He's saying, in my opinion, Yudhishthira, your suffering is all because of inevitable time. Under whose control everyone in every planet is being carried, just like the clouds, they are carried by the wind. So everything is happening under the control of time, and time is acting according to the will of the Supreme Personality of God. So Prabhupada is saying, like Yudhishthira Maharaj, we shouldn't be very sorry for all these things, we shouldn't be lamenting about what is happening. So many of our relatives are dying, so many of our, like our dearmost devotees are dying, and all this, what we can do, and simply lamenting is not going to change the situation. Feeling separation from a devotee is one thing that we have lost, but lamenting about that is not going to help. It's because of ignorance. The wise neither lament nor they become jubilant, either over the living or over that. They maintain that balance. This is a thing. And then the final type of ignorance, the last one, to believe that there is something beyond the absolute truth. It's nice to say, Sarvam idam kal Brahma, everything is Brahman, everything is spiritual. But most of us, we don't believe that. We think that there should be something more. There has to be something more. But actually, this kind of ignorance can only be removed, when one studies the scriptures under a bona fide spiritual master. And this process of Diksha, Divya Jnanam Dadati, when there is divine knowledge is being handed over to you, Shayati Papasya Sankshayam, whatever sinful actions and all these things, they're all destroyed. That is called Diksha. Diksha means you are giving divine knowledge. So this whole Bhaktivedanta Institute, this whole idea, of the spiritual movement, Prabhupada said, this is a completely educational movement. You should know who God is, who is absolute truth. You should know what is my relationship with God, and you should understand what is the ultimate goal of your life. These three things, very important things. So we are teaching people about this. This is what this institute is actually meant for. This is what any religious or spiritual movement is meant for, to remove all these 5 kinds of ignorance. And in Kali Yuga, by the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and all the devotees, very simply, by simply chanting the holy name, the Sankirtan process, by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Simply by doing this one thing, we can, free ourselves from all these kinds of ignorance. So the entire thing is up to us, actually. We are given that free will, we have been given this intelligence. Now, whether you want to use it, whether you want to cash in on it, or you want to remain in ignorance, this is entirely up to you. Krishna is not going to come and force. Every now and then he may send some person and, somebody may nudge you in the right direction. But, there is a saying, you can take a horse to the pond, but you cannot force it to drink, right? The horse has to drink by himself. You cannot force the horse. Same way. People can push you, Prabhu, go to the temple, Prabhu, attend Mangalarti, Prabhu, chant some rounds. They can say so many nice things to you, but then ultimately it is you are the one who has to do. And if you are just simply caught up with all these 5 kinds of ignorance and you don't want to do it, what can be done? Durdaivam, idrisham, ihajani, nanurag. No attraction. What can be done? So Chitraketu is a nice devotee of the Lord. So although he was cursed directly by Mother Parvati and he was powerful enough, he could have counter-cursed her. Still, he didn't do that. He just accepted it. See this devotee behavior. He didn't lose his balance. That's why, pure devotees, they are as good as the Lord. Lord Ramchandra, when he was, he was supposed to be next day coronated as a king of Ayodhya, right? He was supposed to be the king of Ayodhya. And then overnight, Kaikeyi, she did all this. And then next day, Dasharath is saying, you have to go to the forest, giving up everything. Your kingdom, even your royal ornaments, all comforts, just go to the forest. And Lord Ram, he accepted both very equally with the same kind of smile he had when he was hearing that I'm going to become the king. The same kind of smile he had, oh, this is nice, let me go to the forest. He didn't immediately become morose. See, the same thing, devotee. Sometimes we are favored and then, we'll be in very elevated position. And sometimes, it's like a curse. We have to come down and fall down from that position, high position, and we have to be at the rock bottom. But still, it doesn't matter. The devotee is always balanced. Like this Ferris wheel, right? You see in the playgrounds and in the fairs, you have this big, huge Ferris wheel. Sometimes you're right on the top, and you can see the whole city, and you are feeling the breeze, and you're so happy, I'm at the top of the world. And then, the whole thing comes down. It doesn't take very long also sometimes. Just like that, the whole thing comes down. And then you are at the bottom. You're seeing the earth rushing down to you. But for a devotee, because of this enlightenment and transcendental knowledge, which can burn away all the sins and which can completely make your focus one pointed, towards the absolute truth, towards the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna, because of this kind of transcendental knowledge, the devotee, he doesn't lose that thing. He doesn't lose his balance. He remains very neutral. And Chitraketu is not only accepting Mother Parvati's curse with folded hands, begging her forgiveness. I'm sorry, Mother, I disturbed you. I will accept your curse. You see? And then he is speaking this wonderful knowledge. He is giving all this knowledge. And after he's speaking all this enlightening statements, you see, all the whole assembly of sages and even Lord Shiva, they are all amazed. If somebody is cursed, right, to become a demon, actually they will react, they will at least argue, what did I do to merit this kind of curse? But folded hands, begging forgiveness, and yes, I will accept. You see the devotees behave. This is a nice verse in the Bhagavatam. What is that? Tatte anukampan susimikshamana. Bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam. Hridvag vapavir vidadan namaste. Jiveta yo sa, what is that? Mukti pade sadaya bhag. Tatte anukampan. Always, if a person is tolerant and completely depending on the mercy of the Lord, whatever reverses, Shapta, Shipta, Hata api, even if you kill or you curse or you do so many nonsense again, the devotee is still na tasya pratikurvanti. The devotees, they don't react. They accept it. Yes. What can be done? This is how it is. And because of this, because of this kind of tolerance and because of this remaining neutral in all circumstances, the Lord becomes so pleased with such a devotee. And it is said in the Bhagavatam that these people, they become eligible to get Bhakti Pade or Mukti Pade. Mukti Pade means liberation becomes automatically the right. They become the rightful heirs. Heirs for achieving liberation. And that Mukti Pade was translated by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya as Bhakti Pade. They can even achieve pure love of God, this Krishna Prem, simply by this developing all these wonderful qualities. So the Bhagavatam, especially the story of all these wonderful persons, we can see, all these reverses they are undergoing in life, from seeing the Supreme Personality directly face to face, and before that being the king of the world and, undergoing all this, losing one's only son, and then again becoming promoted as a Vidyadhara planet in charge, they're enjoying with the Vidyadharas. and then again, becoming a demon. You see, all through these different reverses, because of his blessings of the Guru, our Chitraketu is able to easily overcome and balance himself, and focus on this main point: how to become a Krishna conscious person, how to remain a Krishna conscious person. So we can learn from this, that because we are ignorant, we are always lamenting that somebody has caused our happiness, somebody is causing our distress. But actually, it is not like that. It is not like. And when you become little knowledgeable, you will understand that this is all arranged by the Supreme Lord. And because it is the Lord's mercy, we just smile. The devotees, they just smile. I'm remembering our Vamsidas Babaji Maharaj. He was a illiterate person. He was not very educated. And Babaji, those days, Babajis in Vrindavan, you can understand, they hardly have, one small cloth to cover their body and maybe a little kamandalu, and they go around doing madhukari. They beg and braj. And sometimes these boys, the Vrajavasi boys and kids, they start throwing stones at them, because he would feed the dogs and the prasadam, and sometimes the prasadam falls from the dog's mouth or something like that. Without caring for the etiquette, our Babaji would wash it and eat that prasadam. So these boys, these boys who are watching it, they thought, this is such a nonsense old man, and they would throw stones at Vamsidas Baba. And Babaji, he wouldn't complain. He say, I know, Krishna, you are behind all this. I will go complain to Mother Yashoda. If you keep doing the same thing again and again, I will go complain to Mother Yashoda. She will take care of it. You see, they were literally throwing stones at him, and then, he was just saying this. That's all. Eventually, he left Vrindavan with Gaurnitai deity, and he came to Mayapur. Because Mayapur is mercy place. Mahaprabhu, he doesn't see whether you're qualified, unqualified, whether you're knowledgeable, whether you're ignorant. But simply, take this chanting, and you will achieve all good fortune. You will get all transcendental knowledge. You will get everything you want. So he was here in Mayapur, and the most brightest person, the most knowledgeable, and the most educated, literate person of those times, Bhaktivedanta, he got initiated from Siddharth Babaji. So one should understand that, we are suffering because of this ignorance, this kind of ignorance. We are lamenting because of this ignorance. And if we are able to overcome this ignorance by this proper process, by this bona fide process of accepting a bona fide guru, and then taking the diksha from him, and then we follow his instructions, very soon we can be on the same platform like Chitraket. It's possible. Bhagavatam is indicating that this is entirely possible. All we have to do is to stick to this path. So this is what the Bhagavatam is instructing us. And you see, because even materially we do so many things, ultimately we will gain nothing from that, right? But even a little, swalpam abhyasya dharmasya, you do something even little bit spiritual. He's saying, trayate mahato bhayat, even from the greatest dangers like death also, that will protect you. So, brush up that intelligence, and, we have to focus. Somehow or the other, we have to focus on this spiritual aspect of life. This is what the Bhagavatam is indicating. And this is what Prabhupada was saying. This Bhagavatam will bring about a cultural revolution in the misdirected lives of the entire human population. Especially in times like this, when everybody is under lockdown, there is so much fear, what will happen and everything. This Bhagavatam, you see, it makes you so calm, so peaceful, and yes, Krishna is taking care of it. Immediately. So I think I will stop here. Thank you so much for your patient listening. And, any suggestions, any questions, or any comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for this nice and yeah. Okay, so yes, if anyone is having any question, they can raise the hand and ask His Grace Mother Manohar Prabhuji.
It's so funny. They make the irony in the material world, right? They make these trains. We have these metro trains, right? So that you can travel very fast to many places. And then every 2 minutes they'll be announcing within that inside the train, you see any suspicious package, don't go near it. It may be a bomb. Stay away from the doors. This, that. Every few minutes they keep scaring you. So now same thing is happening outside. They're coming. They're coming and they're announcing. This COVID is spreading everywhere. Don't go out. Don't do this. Don't do that. They mean well, right? But people who are already afraid, they become even more afraid because of this. This is how the material situation is. Things get worse and worse. Actually, it's not going to get any better. You go more and more deeper into ignorance, and then we suffer more and more. Actually, but when we come gradually to the mode of goodness, and then finally to the transcendental platform by the mercy of spiritual master, everything becomes wonderful. Everything.
Yes, our Shyam Krishna Prabhuji is having a question, it seems. Shyam Prabhu, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Navdeep Vasi is giving his mercy.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Dandavad.
Dandavad Prabhu. So my question is, as it is written in the purpose, one must promote himself to the stage of goodness through his character and behavior.
Yeah.
And then gradually, in which he realizes both his position and the position of others.
Yeah.
So, I mean to say, every individual or every devotee or every person, this thing is mentioned, it signifies it's very important to have a proper character, every person, and behave to deal with others, to behave with other living entities or person. Otherwise, then only he realizes proper position. What is his position and the position of the other person. So, can you little elaborate in this thing, character and behavior? How does it reflect in the person? Or what happens if one doesn't have character and behavior? What is the consequence?
So Prabhuji is talking about this Vaishnava etiquette, right? How a person, especially somebody who's aspiring to be a devotee, how he should, now he should behave and how his character must be, that people cannot find any faults in. Because we are trying to set an example to others so that others can pick up the spiritual path. So if we behave in a improper way, or there is some fault in our character, then it becomes like very problematic for those who are trying to follow. Actually, this is the point. So there's in English there is a popular saying, right? When money is lost, nothing is lost. When your health is lost, something is lost. But when your character is lost, everything is lost. Right? There is a saying. So the devotee is adosha darshi. He doesn't find faults in others. This is the nature of a real devotee. He doesn't see faults in others. But if he himself is behaving in such a way that that others can find faults in him, then it becomes how do you say? It becomes very, very difficult actually. Prabhupada said, we are trying to make that yes, here is an ideal person, this is how one should live his life. This is what this is the whole goal of this Krishna conscious movement. That this is how a human being is supposed to be, perfect gentleman. He was asked what is a Vaishnav, and he said, Vaishnav is a perfect gentleman. That's what he was saying. So Prabhuji is highlighting this point, which is very important, that we have to be very, very careful as far as our character is concerned, and as far as our behavior in dealing, with different category of people. People who are envious, people who are atheistic, people who are neophytes, and people who are very advanced devotees. With all these different categories of people, how we behave, this is something that one has to be very, very cautious. It's a very important point, Prabhu. Thank you very much. But what can be done? Material world, everything, everything is so upside down. That's why Krishna is saying, even though apichet suduracharo, somebody he commits some mistake sometimes, because of past habit, bhajate mam ananya bhak, but still that person is somehow sticking to this Krishna consciousness. And Krishna is saying sadhu reva mantavya. We should at least think that he is a saintly person. We just because of one act, we cannot condemn a person and completely, neglect him.
Yeah.
Sadhu reva cha mantavya. We should be broad-minded like that, because if devotees, they don't give that kind of scope, nobody will give. Nobody else will give. So that's why devotees, sometimes we see that, some devotee may not be having a proper moral upright character, or they may be committing some offense, or, very, sometimes very serious offenses also. Still, one has to be little accommodating, little merciful, and give him an opportunity. Like, during Prabhupada's time, this one devotee, he took all the money and he ran away. After standing hours together, doing kirtan on the end of the street, the devotees, they collect something by selling these BTG magazines, $2, $3, $5, something like that. And they practically 8 hours, they are singing solidly. And somehow like this, all this money was collected and kept. And this one devotee, he took all that money and he ran away. And later when they found him, Prabhupada, he asked him to come back and he made him the president of the temple. Can you believe this? Usually we would like to throw that person in the jail, right? And completely, you're total nonsense and completely dismiss that person. But Prabhupada, he bought him, you be the temple priest. You want some money, you want some power, it's all right. Krishna consciousness is nice. It can accommodate whatever you want, you please come. It's all right. You be a devotee, remain a devotee. So this is a kind of magnanimity. Even Mahaprabhu, see, as a devotee, the Lord himself, he is showing that, he's not seeing whether this person is qualified, unqualified, he's doing nonsense, not doing nonsense. Mahaprabhu is still giving. So from our side, we should always be like that. We should be welcoming, we should be giving. That doesn't mean that, you purposely go and associate with people who are total nonsense. It's not like that. But if you are there, you maintain your dignity, you maintain that gravity as a devotee, but we should be accommodating. That's why Audharya or mercifulness is much more higher than Madhurya. These different rasas are there, right? We have this Dasya rasa, Sakya rasa, Vatsalya rasa, Madhurya rasa. But even beyond Madhurya rasa, or this sweetness is Audharya. Audharya means this magnanimity. Only devotees can be magnanimous like that. And this magnanimity will change people's heart. Otherwise, it's not possible actually. Simply, you just give dry instructions and dry armchair philosophy you throw at a person, it is not going to work. But when they see that the nature of this person is so accommodating, and then how you can leave such a person. Human being, they will automatically change. So thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah,
Maybe Maharaj.
I had one thing more question, small one. So regarding this character and behavior, so if one person doesn't have a proper character, so how does it reflect in other persons who are associated with him. And second thing is the behavior. If he is not properly dealing with other persons, other devotees with whom he has relationship or friendship, so how his behavior, how his dealing will reflect in other person. How what the relationship, how it will go. I mean, you can a little bit say on that.
See, the thing is, they say one bad apple in a basket, it will completely spoil the others. They say so. We generally pick up the rotten apple and we throw it away. But see, this is the thing. This is spirituality. We cannot do this. As far as possible, we try to explain the situation to him in a very nice way. Not hurting that person, but as a genuine thing, we try to explain the situation to him. Please don't do this. We are representing the greatest movement on the planet. We are supposed to change people's heart. But if you're going to continue in this way, it's not very nice. But ultimately, it is not our position to send a person out. The guru and the authorities have to decide that. That is up to them. So on our side, we try to tell them very nicely. If they don't listen, then we avoid. That's all. What else can be done? Because if you're going to associate with people like that for a long period, then unless you are a very well-established devotee, you will also pick up all those qualities. Sangha dosha, they call that. Even if you're walking near the sewage, right? You may be clean, but still that bad smell will be there on you. That is a dosha. That is a fault of association. So as far as possible, we should try to leave the place. You see, even Narottam Das Thakur and all these big acharyas, they're singing, right? Ramachandra Sangamange Narottama Das. I want this association of, this nice devotee. So there are so many other nice devotees that we can try to associate with them. You don't have to go and pick only this one person and, the faulty person and then, keep complaining about it and, reflecting, oh, he has done all this bad and keep meditating on all these bad things. So,
yeah.
So, yeah.
So, Prabhu, what I understand from the conclusion and thing is that if a person doesn't have proper character, if it doesn't have principle in life, to follow the Vaishnava principles, to follow the Satya, Daya, Shama, all these things, if a person doesn't have these principles, then it will reflect in the behavior, in the dealing.
Yeah.
One not following, then the relationship will spoil. So character makes a person. It's very important, I think. Then he will have a proper relationship or behavior. Can you clarify?
Yeah, what you said is perfectly right. But what I'm saying is that you be little forgiving and little accommodating. This is what I'm saying. Otherwise, we will lose. See, when I was in Manipur, I'm talking directly. I went there to Manipur so that I could get association of Guru Maharaj. That was one of the main reasons. And even there, Maharaj would hardly be for a long time, because he goes out for collecting for the temple and Anganiketan and so many programs. And every time Maharaj is there and I'm trying to go meet him, somehow or the other, those senior devotees there, most of them grahasthas, they wouldn't let me. So one day I was able to, go inside and Guru Maharaj was joking. Oh, Madan, you broke the chakra view, like in this Mahabharata, you have this formation. You broke the chakra view, you're here. And Maharaj smiled at me. And then I said, I started complaining. Maharaj, they're not letting me come and meet you. I want to be in your association. They're not letting me talk to you, ask you any questions, nothing, Whenever I come, they're doing this and that. And you should do something, And Maharaj is smiling. I said, yes, I can throw them out. All of them, I can throw them out. But I've spent so much energy and training them to be devotees. You don't know how they were before. And then all this thing will be wasted. And if I have to train another fresh batch of new devotees and bring them, by the time my life would have been gone. So you see, the higher principle is that, yes, there are so many faults, but devotee, he should try to see his own faults and not the others' faults. This is ideal thing. And even if somebody is doing faulty, okay, Maya is time's influence. Maya Devi has done some deala with him, and then we try to ignore. And if you're in an authority position, you should definitely correct that person. If you are in a guru stan or you are a senior person to whom he is answerable, you should definitely chastise and correct that person. Otherwise, he is not going to progress. He will be continuing in the same way. But if you just simply let him loose also, this is not correct. But if you are on the same level, as a friend, you can casually advise. But like you said, ultimately, everything boils down to character. The character is not good. It's a practical thing, I'm smoking and then I'm telling you don't smoke. Who's going to listen to you? Even your words, it's not convincing yourself. How can you convince somebody else? Right. So your character is not good, ideal, and you're telling somebody, Prabhu, you become my ideal character. How will your words carry any weightage, right? It's just a show bottle. So one has to be pakka in his character. It's very, very important. It's very important. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shyam Prabhuji, and yeah, Shyam Chandra, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Dandavat Prabhu.
Jai Shila Sripad Maharaj, Jai Shila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for a nice class and also for a nice follow-up discussions in relation to Shyam Prabhu's questions. Very nice, and it made a lot of sense to me. Prabhuji, I have a basic question, and forgive me if it is very silly in the in the context. The question is, see, now after Chitraketu, King Chitraketu got the darshan of Lord Anantasesh, he was taken to Vidyadhar planet, correct?
Yeah.
Now, should we understand that he left his body in this Earth planet, and then obviously he has gone in another body that is suitable for Vidyadhar planet? If that is so, then why is he still being referred to as Chitraketu? Because with every change of body, we primarily, we have seen that in so many other characters also, like Bharat Maharaj, then dear Jada Bharat, and similarly we don't address Vritrasur as we say Vritrasur was Chitraketu, but Vritrasur is Vritrasur. So I wanted to know now, in this pastime where he is actually in the Vidyadhar planet, and then all this is happening, he's still being referred in Bhagavatam as King Chitraketu only.
Yeah.
So that is my doubt. Why is he being still addressed as Chitraketu? Because if he is gone into another planet, he is another person now. The same soul, of course. He's ex Chitraketu, but not Chitraketu per se. So can you kindly throw some light on that?
That's a nice question, Prabhu. But the thing is, see, this is not Kali Yuga, right? This is previous yugas, Satya Yugas, and at that time, this interplanetary travel was very much there. They could go. And Chitraketu, he was pure, he had become a pure devotee, right? And by directly meeting the Supreme Personality, you understand, he was able to see Lord Sankarshan. So what is a big deal, going to Vidyadhara planet in the same body? He was already purified. As soon as you see the Lord, you become completely purified. Your body is no more material. For normal people, they have to do a lot of pious activities, and then, they have to achieve a Deva body to heavenly planets. That's not possible. Like, the story of Trishanku, right? Vishwamitra Muni, how much he tried to send him up. And every time he tried to send him up, Indra would kick him down because this person is not qualified. You cannot go in a human body. But Chitraketu is not an ordinary person, right? He's been blessed by the grace of Narad Muni and Angira, and he directly met Lord Sankarshan. So he's already purified. But some remnant must have been there. And to speeden that process only, this curse by Mother Parvati happened. This is arrangement of the Lord. Same way, like Parikshit Maharaj is also cursed. Because those devotees are very dear, the Lord makes some kind of arrangement, and then he quickly brings that person back to him. So my understanding is that Chitraketu went in the same body to these planets. If you can see the Supreme Lord with that body, you can see Narad Muni and Angira Muni, why not Lord Shiva and Mother Parvati? Why not? And then after, because of the curse of Mother Parvati, then, he becomes a demon. Again, his body changes, or he loses that body, and then he appears from the fire as Vritrasura. So this is my understanding. I don't know. Maybe Maharajas can correct, or they can add something to it.
Okay.
Is that
Yeah, thank you. I also thought that he has gone in the same body. Like
Okay.
Sant Tukaram also, they say that he left on the same body.
yeah,
Pushpa Viman came, and then the devotees around Sant Tukaram saw that he was being airlifted. Also, Dhruv Maharaj left on with the same body.
same body?
So we have to understand that King Chitraketu also left on with the same body to the higher planets.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Thank you.
Yes, it is already 9:02 and our Govind Maharaj is having something. Yes, Maharaj, please be short and
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Dandavad Maharaj, please accept my obeisance.
Dandavad Pranam, all voices Bhaktivedanta. Wonderful discussion. You brought many points about the ignorance and different things. So I just want to give one reference, and my question will be at the end. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, in third canto, chapter 20, text 18, there is a systematic description of the 5 kinds of ignorance. So if somebody wants to study, because you describe without giving them the names.
Oh, this Anda Mahanda Tamas
Yes.
Mahatamas, something like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so anybody who is interested can study very well. Prabhupada elaborately describe each and them. And second thing regarding the human species, Vidyadhara, Indra, Lord Brahma. So what is a human species? When we say the 400,000 human species. So what is the definition of a human? Budham Param Brahma Manushya Lingam. When even Krishna comes as a human.
Human, yeah.
But he's anything but human. He's suprahuman. The whole idea is the definition of human means we're two-handed. So anybody who's two-handed is a human species. Lord Indra, Vidyadhara, and all these things. And why not? We can be transferred to Brahmalok or any other lok wherever the two-handed form is there. No? So that way, that human being is Vidyadhara, King Chitraketu, going to Vidyadhara planet. It's all good. And the thing which you mentioned regarding Ramachandra Sangamage Nauttam Das, I just wanted to add the point because yesterday I also brought this reference. So it especially applies after the spiritual master has left. Because as long as spiritual master is there, we are directly engaged according to his direction, either in his proximity or even away from it. But we are fully united, fully tuned with him. But when the departure of the spiritual master, then someone who loves the spiritual master as much or more than me, that person becomes very, very attractive, for a pure one. So this aspect of identifying who has more love for the spiritual master than myself, who is more attached, who has given, whose sacrifice is greater, who really means perfected his life. A sadhaka may see shortcomings in oneself, and then he can see the more advanced, more devoted or more dedicated to the spiritual master. So that aspect will keep the parampara system very, very pure, intact. And that is very essential to search out who is more devoted to my Sri Guru than myself. And this consciousness, this attitude will increase our appreciation, and we will be able to see the sublime features other devotees, especially God brothers and God sisters. And that way we will be able to guide also those who are our dependents. Because if one truly loved